Very good. Masechta bava basra daf namdal Rabban Aleph. Yesterday we learned the case that Reuben had stolen a field from Shimon, who sold it to Levi, and Yehuda came and said, "It's my field. The Reuben stole it from me." Shimon claims he stole it from him. So now we want to know if Shimon could testify that it should belong to Levi. So we said no. Shimon has a pniya to testify that it belongs to Levi, because he doesn't want to fight with Yehuda. Yehuda is much tougher to deal with. Or we said that Yehuda has Eidim, and has Eidim that he's the balabas, and he has Eidim that he's the balabas. And so if it'll go into Yehuda's hands, it'll be Shnaim 2 against 2, and it will remain in Yehuda's hands. He rather that it should remain in Levi's hands, and Levi doesn't have Eidim. So the Gemara now says that why do we have to talk about, now the Gemara is asking, Velukma, we're going to start the first words, Velukma means really Velisni, Velukma, instead of saying that it's talking about that there was a Mechira, say Begazl Natzmai, say, let the Nigzel, meaning Shimon, Reuben stole from Shimon. And now Yehuda is claiming that he's the owner. Let Shimon say Edis to let the case be, not that there was a mechira. Say that Shimon is going to testify that it belongs, that the Yehuda, Reuben did not steal it from Yehuda. Yehuda, who has Edom that it belonged to him, I'll prove that Gazlonim, the liars, or he himself was made it to me that it doesn't belong to him. Reuben stole it from Shimon, but instead of Reuben selling it to Levi, you could say the same case. Reuben stole it from Shimon. Yehuda came and said, "It's mine. Ich bin the original owner." Shimon cannot say Edis that it doesn't belong to Yehuda because he wants to be able to take it away from Reuben, because Reuben is much easier. Why'd you have to learn there was a mechira? So very, very simple. Because of the sefer, we wanted to learn that what? If Reuben, who stole from Shimon, Reuben the Gazlan, sold a potter, or he sold a talis, the dafke macha, they're going to have to learn macha, because you said that it belongs, that he could say Edis, that who could say that Shimon could say Edis, that Levi is the right koina, that Levi did buy it rightfully, and Reuben it doesn't belong to Yehuda. Why? We should say he's negei ba'edis, because he wants it should stay by Levi, so that later on he can take it away from Levi. He says no, he knows he's not getting it. But b'chlal by a gazlan, we say stam, when somebody steals something and you know he stole it, you're miyayish. And together with Shina Rishus, so there's no way of getting it back. So that's why he had to say there was a mechira, in order to say he has no pniyas, that he could testify that it belongs to Levi, that he could testify that it doesn't belong, Yehuda wasn't the original owner. So then, in such a case, he's not a negei b'dava, because he's not planning on taking it away from Levi later on, because there was Yush, right when Reuben stole it, and there was Shina Rishus when he sold it.
What does it need to be the Edis for?
That Yehuda is claiming he's the original owner.
So he wants to say it's not his.
He wants to say it's not Yehuda's.
So what is the accomplishment? He doesn't get
He gets nothing. Right, that's why we should accept his Edis. He's not in the Gebe Edis. The Havalei, Yiyush, V'Shina Rishus. Avaloi Macha. But what if he would have not sold it? Let's say you're only talking about Reuben stole from Shimon. And Shimon Taka was Miyayish, but still Shimon could take it back from Reuben. He rather testify that Yehuda is a liar and it'll stay in Reuben's hands, because Shimon will be able to take it out of Reuben, not out of Yehuda. That's why you had to say that there was a mechira. Avloi macha, the hadalei, then he can come back for his para. He can come back for his talis. So that's why hadalei loy. Then Shimon cannot testify because he's in the Negei B'dava, because he's able to come back. That's why Tanareisha Nami Macha. That's why he learned in the Reisha by Karka. By Karka there was a Mechira, and there he's in the Negei B'edus. There's no such a thing as Shina Rishus, because Karka Einen Exeles. So therefore, he's still by karka, even though there was a shina rishus, but it's not called a shina rishus because we're dealing with karka ain't an exelis. So therefore, he is negei beidis because he could still come back for after his karka, and he rather it should be in Levi's hands in order to take it away from Levi than it should be in Yehuda's hands. In fact, what if it's for Nami? Even in the Sefer was helped that there was a years for shina rishus. There's a din. You're right. The chetzer. Let's say whatever the potter, right? The potter he can't get back, but if the worth of the potter he can demand he's the money he stole from me. That doesn't mean years shina rishus. The potter because there was he was meyayish, and once there was a shina rishus, so it remains by the buyer. But he can go back to the gazlan. Reuben, who sold it, who was the gazlan, he can tell him, oh, but it was the gazlan, the gazlan, that he can still come back. So the Gemara is going to ask, mitzad the gezela, if he has to, he's a negei b'dava, because if it's going to go into Yehuda's hands, they're going to say Yehuda was the original owner. That means it was never stolen from him. He can't get even the worth of his money. That's what the Gemara is asking. The Sefer Nami, nehid b'yayish megufei. Yeah, you're right. From the potter itself or the talis itself, he can't get it back. From the money, from the gzela itself, he has to get it back. And if he testifies against Yehuda, he has a chance of getting back his money from Reuben the Gazlan. But if we're going to testify that it was Yehuda, so it was never stolen from Shimon, so there's no way of him getting back his money. We're talking about the Hayra of the Bryce is talking about by the Mis Gazlan. That it's talking about that the Gazlan died. Oh, so what's now the difference? So if the Gazlan dies, he doesn't have to pay back even the money from the Gzela, the worth of the Gzela.
Who does have to pay?
The Yorshim. If the Gazlan dies, it's not like we learned in the Mishnah. A Goizel, somebody who steals something, and he gives his children to eat. Or he left something for them for Yerusha. They don't have to pay back anything. They don't have to pay back even the worth of the Gzela.
Why?
That's the halacha. But the Yarshim weren't the ones that stole it. So we can demand from the Yarshim that they should pay back the Gzela of their father.
They can't complain.
They can't. That was before the Takanos Hashanim. After the Takanos Hashanim, they could demand, with the halacha is, we can come to them that they should pay back the Gzela. But before the takanas of the Shainim or Geinim, I don't remember who it was. Then the halacha was if the father stole and he died, you couldn't collect from the Yoshim. You cannot collect from the Yoshim. So therefore, he's not in the Gei B'David because he's not going to get even the worth of the Gezela back. In fact, if so, we'll look for B'Yerish. Why do you have to say in the Sefer that what happened, that the Gazlan, Reuben the Gazlan stole from Shimon and sold it to Levi? What do you have to say? He sold it to Levi. You need Yish and Shin Rishus. Very simple. Reuben stole it from Shimon. Reuben died and it went to the Yerish's Rishus. A Yerish is like a Lekeach that is considered as Shin Rishus. What do you have? And what do you have to talk about Mechira here?
So what do you need a Levi?
What do you need a Levi here? What do you need a Levi? The Mechira to Levi. The Yerishim are the Shina Rishus. The Yerishim are just like the Lachim. And the Potter. What? That's a, yeah, it's called Shina Rishus. Yeah, it's considered, it says the Lachim, the Leichim, I'm sorry, the Yerishim have a din like Leichim, that it's a Shina Rishus. Okay? So, and the Gemara, so the Gemara limits its kasha. It says, it makes sense, according to Mandama, that says once it goes into the Yerush Rishus, it's not considered Shina Rishus, like a Loikeach buying the Sada. It's not considered a Shina Rishus. Why? They consider it's like Charei de Avoah. It's like I come from the Yerach from Taten. He's a chelik of the father. So it's not a Shina Rishus. It's like part of the father. He uses the Lashon Charei de Avoah. Yerush Charei de Avoah. That's the Lashon that they use in Masechta Eidach.
He has to pay back.
So yeah, he has to pay back. So it's not Shina Rishus. It's not even Shina Rishus. Sharper, then it makes sense that you must be talking about in order to be Shina Rishus, that it was sold to Levi, in order to be a Shina Rishus. El Leman Yoma Rishus Yoirish, Kirishus Lekeyach Dami. But according to the Mandama that says the Rishus of the Yoirish has the din like a Rishus of the Lekeyach, says the Gemara, that, so if it has a din like a Rishus of Lekeyach, why do I have to say it was so Ma'ik Lebema? Why do we have to say it was sold to Levi? Why do we need that there was a mechira to Levi? And even more so is a kasha to Abaya, because what now you said in the lashon of the brisa was that if Reuven stole from Shimon, karka, sold it to Levi, so we say he's a negei of Medava because he has Shimon's a negei. Shimon cannot testify. But if it was if the case was a para or the atalis, then the halacha is he could testify. What's the lashon achrayuse? He wants it. Achrayuse. We made a whole doichik how to say achrayus. Who's guaranteeing? The story is Shimon is in the Gebedava because he wants it to be in whose hands? Instead of Yehuda. So Levi is like going to be the guarantee for Shimon that he can get back the field. Achrayus, it means achris. It's better that the last person should have it. It doesn't mean achray's responsibility. It means the last person should have it, should be Levi. And if you want to kvetch also with achrayus, and he will be the guarantee for him. But that's not the normal lashon. So the lashon should have been mipnei shehi chayzeres lay. If it's in Levi's issues the kaka, then he has a chance of being returned to him. But by para or talis, einay chayzeres lay. By para or talis, it doesn't get returned to him.
When you say return to
It should have said the lashon chayzeres.
goes back to who? Reuben?
Which one? By
When
the
you say Chayzeres,
yeah, it will go back to Shimon. Shimon has a chance of getting it back.
Shimon is the original owner.
Yes. So Shimon,
Reuben is the Ghana.
Reuben's the Ghana. Reuben stole from Shimon and sold it to Levi. So he says, what did we made a doichik and saying, what does it mean? Because in the lashon, because he took achrayis. It doesn't mean he took achrayis. It means because it's better for him, ladies, to be the last. He's more guaranteed of having a chance to get back his field than being in Yehuda's hands. But Mashain came when it if it's the potter the talis. So einich chizeres lay. Why? Because metaltalin, there's no way of getting it back, because there was, like we said, Yush v'shina rishus. So he should have said einich chizeres nish she'einach lo yusa yalav. Okay, that's the two questions we had, and because of these two questions, the Gemara gives a new pshat. What does it mean? He's a negei b'yahidus. Ella zog the Gemara k'der Rabban Bar Shmuel. Rather, we're going to learn like Rabban Bar Shmuel. The Rabban Bar Shmuel mishmei the Shmuel. That Rabban Bar Shmuel said in the name of Shmuel, Hameichasad lechavei shlei ba'achrayus. If Reuven sells to Shimon a field without any guarantees, meaning that if somebody will take away the field, Reuven is not responsible to repay it. So
he's not investigating if the car is
Nixelis, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to pay back. So Gemara ain't made lo yalal. Shimon, who was stolen from the beating the Nixel, who was stolen from, cannot. Or the moicha. Here we're talking about Reuven sold to Shimon. The Reuven cannot testify that Reuven cannot testify that it belongs to Levi, and Levi is a real moicha, a real buyer, a real liquor.
You have two people here only.
Reuven sold it to Levi. Right. So I said Reuven sold it to Levi without a Shimon in here. Here, and the outsider came and told that it's his. It never belonged to the Meicha. That's what the Rashbam is explaining. That it's outsider came that it never belonged to the Meicha. So he says, so in such a case, so ain't made lo yalah. He says, and he didn't take achrayis. He doesn't have to pay back. So he's not in a gebedava. The Meicha should be able to testify that this outsider is a liar, and I'm testifying
Belongs to him.
that this buyer is a real buyer, whatever the name should be. Because we got mixed up, you thought it was the same case. Should I say Reuben sold it to Shimon? I could say that.
Just
Reuben sold it to Shimon,
straightforward case.
but no, but the Yehuda, three people. Yehuda, an outsider.
Say it's three people.
An outsider came and tained the Rashbam.
This is
And he tained, why is he coming to say Eidos? For what? Here, I'll read it to you. Uba Adam Achi. You hear? An outsider came, Viton Shasadi Shalai.
Okay.
He's taining against the Meicha. He says, it was never the
He
Meichas.
would not sell it.
Right, he wasn't able to sell it. Even though the Meicha doesn't have to, he doesn't have to be paid back, so he's not in the Geya Be'edis. Even if you accept the Idur from this outside and say it belongs to him and you give it to him, he's not going to have to replace and give him back his money. Nevertheless, he cannot testify for Shimon the buyer, okay, that he's a real buyer. He can't testify for him. Why? He wants it to remain in Shimon's hands.
So you can't touch it.
So no, Reuben. You want to say Reuben's not in a Geba Dava because even if the field gets taken away from Shimon and given to Yehuda, Reuben is not in a Geba Dava.
Bring Yehuda. We're talking about Levi now. Let's say Reuben, Shimon, and Levi.
Reuben, Shimon, Levi.
Levi.
Reuben sold it to Shimon. Levi's an outsider and came and tied it's his.
Right.
So Reuben is not a Negei B'Davi because even if he goes to Levi, he doesn't have to replace
Right.
the field of money to Shimon.
doesn't really
Says he
care.
money. No, he does care
Why?
because Reuben owes money to Amalva. If he goes to Levi, he's going to be under the category of Levi Rasha V'Lo Yishalom. He doesn't want that. He has now the field is in he rather stay in Shimon's hand, and it was him who sold it to him, and it was a real sale, and the Malva can now collect, and he gets out of the problem of Levi Rasha V'Lo Yishalom.
What he says.
Levi says, I'm the original owner.
The what?
I'm the original owner. The Meichel had no right to sell it to you.
So if I'm the original owner, so Reuben's Bal Choyb can't collect.
Right. So Reuben is the Gebedov to say that it was a real sale and it belongs to Shimon.
No, he can say let it.
He wants the Malva to collect.
What if it's in Levi? He says it belongs to Levi.
Who says that? Levi himself.
Reuben.
No,
Doesn't
Reuben
care.
is not saying. Reuben wants to say it belongs to Shimon who he sold it to.
What does he gain by that?
Because if he owes money to a Malva
Yeah.
and he has no money, so at least the Malva could collect from the field that he sold after the Halva.
Oh, he can collect from Shimon.
From Shimon, yeah. But if it goes to Levi, that means he was never it was never his field.
So he did.
So he's
Malva has no right.
so he's in the Gedava. So he's in the Gedava. He wants
In
it.
other words, he wants the Malva.
He wants the Malva to collect. He wants to get out of the Levi Rosh V'Lo Yishal. Says he wanted dafka by say soda, and this is dafka by a house or a field. Of a pot of a talis, but what's if it's a pot or a talis? Let me buy it. So he says there, you don't have to say bistama that in shtahava that was nicht of stam. It wasn't written befedish with a shibud. The loy mishtabadnale. There's no shibud there. He was mishabed, right? So therefore, you cannot. The malva can never collect from the lekuches, right? So since the malva can never collect from the lekuches, so then he can testify it belongs to the buyer. He has nothing to lose. I mean, he has nothing to gain by it, because his malva cannot collect from the metaltlin. Because metaltlin mishabdi, so he can testify
So
for
if you
it.
have Reuben, Shimon, and Levi here, and the Levi says it's
My para, my talis,
para,
right?
What is he? So what does he care if it stays in Levi's?
No, but he feels that I want to testify the truth. This lady is just a gangster. He's a liar. Zakta, your mother,
Even though Shimon can't have any kindness to him.
huh? Also, he doesn't want to have tarumis on him. Yeah, okay, all these things, but it's not called negative. In fact, your mother, my time, what's talking the reason by metaltalin is different. Metaltalin, they know metaltalin lebalchiv. Let me stop me. Maybe by para and talis is metaltalin. Metaltalin lebalchiv is not mishtabit. Why? Because there's no koil, and if people will buy coats or cows and have to always worry that some balchev can come and take it away from them, there'll be a crash in the market. Nobody's going to buy or sell. Everybody's going to be afraid. So the whole commerce is going to go down the tubes. So therefore, the Chacham say, since there's no koil, there's no way, there's no shibur on it. Now, Afagav the Koset lay, even though the Levi wrote to the Malva, you know what? You lend me the money, Gliman al Kaspe, I'll give you even my shirt off my back. Wow. He writes him. So even with writing the shirt off his back, if he sells the shirt off his back to somebody else, the Malva cannot collect from it. Even though he wrote, he's giving him the shirt off his back. The only time he could take the shirt off his back, where in the shirt, it's still not going to help once he sells it. Only when could the Malva collect the shirt off his back if the shirt is still in his possession. But what if he sold that shirt off his back to somebody else? Loy, the Malva cannot collect from it.
You put his shirt in the laundry.
No, I'm saying. No, but I'm saying if he sells it to another person, even though he wrote to him, this glima is going to go to you, it's the self-garnished. Is mamish. He writes a star. If I don't pay you, you're going to get paid from this. He shows him from what? He says from this potter, from this talus. It's namiloi. If he sells that potter and that talus that he said, if I don't pay you, you get paid from this potter, this talus. He still, namiloi means that it's impossible for him to collect it once it was sold to another person. My timer, what's the reason for it? Kidarava, like Rava. The Rava said, Osa avde apoitiki. If his Eved was the one that was written he said, listen, if I don't pay you back, my Eved is your payment. So in that case, if he sold it, the Ba'achiv could collect from him. Eved has a din like karka, or even if not, Eved is there. There's a koil, and an Eved you could tell between one Eved and another Eved. Each face is different, but when it comes to a potter or a kladel, it all looks the same. So you can never. Yeah. So he says, so a poitike for Eved, even if it gets sold, either you want to say it has a din like karka. Ain't an exelis, or it has a coil, and you can differentiate between one Eved and Eved. So then the din is you collect. Then he could collect. But if it was ox or donkey, he wrote this is your payment if I don't pay you, and he sold it to another person. Ba'achiv cannot collect from him. My timer. What's the reason for it? Because high is like kola. By a Eved, there's a koil, and there's a heker, he calls it a heker, bein avodim achim. You can tell the difference between this Eved and another Eved. So even with the apetike, it's not going to help. It's going to help. Even without apetike, others want to say it should help. By Eved, yeah. But less like kola. By Sheir v'chameir, there's no koil. And also you can't differentiate between one Sheir and chameir and another. So therefore, even if it gets sold, even though he told me your payment is from this share, it's not going to help. In fact, the Gemara V'leichus, let us be afraid. Dilma aknelei mitaltali agav mekakoi. Say, you're right. So 1 minute. So now that we explain, by Sheva Chameir, he's not on the Gebedava. Because no matter what he does with a Sheva Chameir, by metaltalin, there's no koil, and he's never going to get it back once it's sold to another. Meaning the Ba'achiv, his Ba'achiv can never collect it from the person who he sold it to. So therefore he's not on the Gei B'Dava, therefore he can say Eidos. In fact, he's still on the Gei B'Dava. Let us say that he was makne to the Malva, all the metaltalin, that he took a little piece of karka with the metaltalin are on, and he gave him the karka with the metaltalin on. And so he said this piece of karka with the metaltalin on top of it. So he was mishabed, and you could be kaina metaltalin agav karka. So he was mishabed the metaltalin of the future together with the karka. That if a person is makna metaltalin together with agav the karka, he's kaina side the karka and side metaltalin. The buyer, and now it's a shibut because the karka is meshubah, the karka with the metaltalin. So the metaltalin is on top of that karka. So it's meshubah to the balchayv. So he's in the gei b'eidos. So the Gemara, even more so, V'amar Rav Chizda, and Rav Chizda says, of course, he wants to tell you there's a limit that will help, that he becomes in the Gebe Eidos, the Kosev Lei, the Loi Ke'asmachta. He wrote it to him, and he said it's not an asmachta, that if I don't pay you for my own money, then you can collect the metalton agav karka. So he's, no, from the, whoever I sold it to. Or if I have it in my reshus, you can collect it for me. Asmacht, because asmacht means that you're being soymech. That if chas v'shalom, you're really planning to pay up. You don't even really mean to give him the metalton agam kakoi. So that's what we're afraid of. He was loy gama daitze belibay to give it away. It's not a true shibud. So that's why in the star that he writes agam metalton, he has to say the loy kasmachta, u the loy ketesefta the story. Tesefta the story. You shouldn't think I gave you the usual copy paste nusach. I don't really mean it. I'm telling you, it's nishkin tesefta. This is a real thing I'm doing with you. This, I mean it. If I don't pay, I know that I'm being mamish gama daiti belibi to give you the karka with the metalton.
But they can't depend on the other way.
And he says, even though I have a suffix, I might not pay you. He has to say, and this is the real. It's either or. They're both at the same level. Not like you're saying, I'm for sure going to pay you. I mean, just in case, if not, blah 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 blah. He told him some words, that you'll be mekayna the metalton with the karka. That's not a real kinyan that he was really meshabed.
It's not a real shibud.
It's not a real shibud unless he writes. Listen, it might be either or. I'm giving you a choice, and I'm not giving you like an asmachta.
100%.
Right. So l'chayra he's negay be'edus. It could happen that he's a negay be'edus in such a way that the balchayv could come if the buyer buys it. The balchayv could collect now. Because it's shibud through the karka, also the metalton, because the metalton are nikne agav karka. So as Skinan, over here it's talking about kigoyin shelokach, that the moicha bought the potter or the talents from another person. Umachar la'alta, and he sold it right away. So there was no chance of him borrowing money. What happens is when he borrowed the money, right? This karka wasn't around because he bought this karka and he flipped it right away.
It belonged to him anyways.
What?
The karka belonged to him.
Yeah, but he did this karka, when he bought this karka, right? At that time, we know there was no halva from when he bought the karka till he sold it. Because there was no loan yet done from when he bought it to sold it, because he bought it, let's say 10 o'clock and sold it at 11 o'clock. So there was no halva.
So you can't have metalton.
So we have edus. So there was no karka to say that the metalton was nika agav karka. In fact, let us say that he made. Let us be concerned that he said, "I'm lending you this money, and in the future, whatever I'm going to buy,
Whatever I'm going to
acquire is connected to is meshubit." We know a person cannot be makna adava shaloi bala elam. So, but because of the takana of shaloi sinoil, that was b'fnei elaven that people should learn, so they would allow such a kinyan, even such a kinyan, to be connected to the loan. Says the Gemara Shabbat Minah. So we learn out from here the ikni.
So how's he cutting the metalton?
He's gonna buy in the future karka, and it will have metalton on top, and it says you'll be kind of the metalton together with a little piece of karka.
Because he kind of the karka.
Kind of the karka, you kind of metalton. Shamim the ikne, that what I'm gonna buy in the future, kana he's kana, umacha, and he sells it to others. That kana, meaning that he sold the fields to whatever it was. To other people, or kind of a Hadish, or he gave it to the Yoshim, loy mishtabit. It doesn't become loy mishtabit. So he says, since we're not concerned that he could say you should be connected, that what I'm going to buy in the future should be connected with the loan. So we're not concerned about it. That means that a person cannot be makna. The loan that you're doing today for the future properties that you're going to buy that are connected to the loan.
So why do you have such a havamina to say?
The Gemara thought because of mitzad the takana of shalei sinim delab b'nei lav, we should go so far.
That a person can
Could be makna even in the future. So he says, "Ve'ein balachoyv yachal ligmis v'menu shein adam yachal lahaknis or l'shabt la'chaveirei nechasim sha'adayin ein biyadei." At the time of the loan, he cannot be makna if it's not there. But we know, so the Gemara has a kasha, but we had a suffix. If he could be makna, if not, on daf kuf nun zayin amid beis, the Gemara was misupik. Says the Gemara leitzicha. So the Gemara gives a new answer. You can prove that, right? You can prove from here that a person cannot be makna, because we said he's not a negeya be'edus, because the balchayv cannot collect. So you have a raya that because we're not concerned that he was mishabed those things that he's going to buy in the future. And the Gemara leitzich over here it's talking about the ka'amri edim. We know that this guy never had out of karka ever. From when I know him, he never owned a piece of land. So therefore, it's not shaykh that he was makna together with his piece of karka, the metaltali. Okay, we'll stop over here.
So what? So maybe he's saying whatever I'm going to acquire.
Okay, Kitzur, what?
He's saying whatever I'm going to acquire in the future, I want to be makna.
Yeah, but so we said, so that's not the answer. Maybe it will be a kinyan. We don't know. We're giving a new answer. We're talking about the cases, talking about that this guy never had karka to say that he's going to be mocked in the metal nagav karka. So I'm running late. I think I have to go to say the same. I'll stop over here. Yeah, and I'll do tomorrow.